I'm going to show you how I'm preserving rabbit feet. I culled a rabbit the other day and thought I would show you guys the process on how I turn these guys into keychains. So first step is what you're going to do. Obviously you take it off of the rabbit, but you're going to take some soap. I usually just use Dawn dish soap, and you're going to lather it all in. And you are literally just washing the foot at this point. Get all the dirt, debris, what have you, out of the fur, and really lather it in there. You don't want to miss any spots. All right, get between the toes, because this will definitely make it a lot cleaner of a foot. And while it's malleable like this, it's easier to get a nice clean in it versus after the fact when it's done drying. Besides, then your alcohol is nice and clean, because all of the steps that you do with this is actually 2 dwelling steps. You can reuse the liquids for multiple different times. Just make sure you label them and keep them out of the way, so that way they don't get mistaken for something else. But yeah, make sure it's nice and lathered up. And then you're going to rinse it as thoroughly as you possibly can. No soap left over at all. There's still more soap. You can see how it still lathers after I've rinsed it. The feet pads are always the worst. They're always going to accumulate or hold the soap in there all the time. But yeah, the best way to check is once you dry it out, just rub around, and if suds show up, then keep rinsing it. This seems like it's okay though. All right, so once it is done being washed, you want to wring out as much water as you possibly can. Squeeze, don't twist. I mean, it's bones. You can't really twist it anyway. But just squeeze out the water. Make sure that it's all as much as you can get out. And this is actually probably the best time where you can actually clip the nails. That way they're not as sharp when the keychain is being made. So I'm going to go do that. I'll be right back. So now I got the nails trimmed down. I still want to keep the nail because, I mean, it's a rabbit's foot. You want to have it as authentic as you possibly can. So you trim it all down. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put it into a bag of 70% isopropyl alcohol. So in the past, I've actually used mason jars. Glass jars with a cover on, so that way they don't spill, they're easily containable. But I've learned also during my researches that you can do it in a plastic bag. And so I've never done it this way, but I thought I'd give it a try and bring you guys along. So already I'm liking the plastic bag, just because once you put it in there, seal it up a little bit, and then remove as much air as you can, and it actually covers all of the feet. Like, you don't have any spots where the feet are going above the alcohol water line. So that's what you want, is you want them completely submerged. You don't want any bits and pieces up out of the water line. So that's what I'm already liking with the bag versus the mason jars. And that's all you do for the first step. You just wash it, clip the nails if you'd like, and make sure it's completely clean, wring out the water, and then throw it in a bag of alcohol. Leave it in there for 48 hours, and after that, I'll bring you back and we'll do the second step. While we're on the topic of preserving rabbit feet, there's also another thing that I like to do whenever I cull my rabbits, is I will actually make dog treats for the boys. I will take my dehydrator, and I've already done this batch because it was a little better to do it when it's fresh You can actually freeze it first. So say for instance you didn't want to do just one set of rabbit ears, you wanted to wait till you had a whole bunch of them. I froze a pair and put them in here with the new pair, and they came out perfectly fine. So what you want to do is you're going to wash them thoroughly, and when they're completely dried of any soap, you're going to put them laying flat in the dehydrator at 160 degrees Fahrenheit for 8 to 10 hours. I like to do it on the higher side just so that I know for a fact it's going to be completely dry. But this is after 10 hours and it's legitimately as dry as you possibly can. Like if I can't even move it without it breaking. So that's how I do rabbit ears. Super simple, and the dogs go nuts over them. So stay tuned for the next video when we do step 2, and I'll bring you along for that one. It's been 24 hours since we've had the feet soaking in the alcohol, so now we're going to process them to get them ready for the next bath. So the next bath is going to be a borax solution, and it's going to be 2 cups of water to 2 tablespoons of borax. So what we're going to do is first we're going to take the feet and we are going to squeeze out all of the excess alcohol, because we want to save this alcohol for the next time we do feet preservation. And just make sure we get as much as we possibly can out, and then we're going to rinse them off. And I gotta say, the can or the jars when I was doing this with them, so much easier with a bag. Just having to squeeze out the excess alcohol without being able to put my hand in there. Also, being able to put my hand in there is so much better than trying to like maneuver it over the hole. I'm 100% for bags at this point. All right, so they're all rinsed out. And now I'm going to save this for later because that's still good. Might be a little cloudy, but that's okay. And now we're going to rinse the feet. Make sure there's no residual alcohol on them at all. All right. So let's go ahead and start making our solution. Then I will wring those out and put them in. It's probably easier to mix the solution if the feet aren't in there. One cup. So 2 cups of water. And then it's going to be, let's say, 2 tablespoons of borax. 1 tablespoon. All right, 2 tablespoons of borax. Now I'm just gonna mix it all up. This is actually easier to mix than in the jars as well, because then I can find the big clumps and crush them while inside the bag. All right, pretty well mixed right there. So now we're just going to squeeze out the excess water from our feet and put them in. And I'm going to mix it around a little bit just so then that borax solution, because some of it's not completely dissolved into the water, which is okay. Don't have to have it all dissolved. You want an oversaturated solution. So if there's still some that have not dissolved, that's quite all right. All right, so now we're just gonna let the feet sit in here. Release some more air. There. So now we're gonna let them sit in there for another 24 hours. And even if you don't get to it by the 24-hour mark, I actually accidentally left them while I was going on deployment. So I forgot to fix them. And yeah, it was like 6 months by the time I went back and fixed it. But they still worked out perfectly fine. It's not going to hurt the feet anyway. They're just going to be over dried out. So if you wanted to make sure that it was good, I would say you could do it for about 48 hours or however long you feel it is. I like to do 24, but life gets in the way sometimes. So anywho, so 24 hours, we'll come back and I will show you the next step. Hey guys, so full disclosure, I messed up, but hey, you live and learn, right? I had put some rabbit's feet into the borax solution and forgot it. It was sitting under the sink, and I don't really go under there for anything except for like trash bags or dish soap, stuff like that. But I forgot about them, and they were sitting in there, and they were still in the plastic bags. But for some reason, with the plastic bag, it didn't work very well. So scratch using plastic bags, all right? Forget I even said anything about it. Just use glass containers. Glass containers like old pickle jars, mason jars, something that's got a lid on it. But once you're done with your borax solution, the 2 cups borax to 2 cups of water to 2 tablespoons of borax, you're going to want to rinse off the foot very, very well after you let it soak. Make sure that all the borax crystals are not stuck to it and everything like that. You're going to want to put the feet aside and let them dry. If you go to the Dollar Tree, there's a little cookie rack that you can put them on. Super simple, something like that. I've used paper plates in the past. Honestly, as long as it can sit and dry, you're perfectly fine. One thing to note is that when they dry, they're obviously going to get really stiff. So if you really want to have your feet completely flat, then you would want to go in there and maybe put some weight on top of the foot, like a rock or something. So that way it will sit flat. But anyway, once it's dried out, it's going to look like this. The foot I have been fiddling with for the past couple minutes. This is a dried rabbit's foot here that I've processed before. I've used it with the jar method. Don't use plastic bags anymore. That was an absolute fail. Unless you don't let it sit for too long. But I forgot it. So with my forgetfulness, I'm going to go back to glass jars. But anyway, this is the final product. And then to turn it into a keychain, we're going to take a bell. All right, I've already pulled it apart, but you're going to use some needle nose pliers and just kind of like pull the 4 sections apart far enough that it can actually fit on the end of the rabbit's foot, like that. All right. So when you're applying the bell onto it, I like to use a hot glue gun. And what I like to do is I'll put glue at the very top. I won't put it on the bell. I won't put it around the outside, just the top. The reasoning for that is because once the bell goes on, if it's on the edges, it could get into the fur and it could damage the fur or make it look bad. I'll put it on the top here. just apply the bell. Now you don't want to push too far onto it because I don't know if you can see it, but right in there where the little chain goes, the glue is starting to poke out. It's not too much of an issue. You can always just go back in there and cut it out once it's dried. But that's basically it for a rabbit's foot keychain. It's just that simple. Once it dries, it'll be perfectly fine. Well, that's basically it for a keychain. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this. If you'd like to see more of this content, throw me a thumbs up and subscribe if you aren't already. And we'll see you again next time.